This piece is a Japanese tattoo-style illustration. It shows an underwater fight between a crab and an octopus. I did the whole sketch in Procreate. After that, I inked it digitally too. I like using Procreate because it gives me control over the line weight and detail, and it lets me zoom in and really clean things up. Once the inking was done, I printed the drawing on regular paper. I placed the transfer paper under the print and traced the whole design using a colored pen. The light table helped a lot here, especially for checking the small details. Then I took an A3 watercolor paper and transferred the full design onto it. A quick tip: always use a pen or pencil that is a different color than the stencil lines when transferring. This way you can clearly see which areas are already done and which ones you still need to trace. It might seem like a small thing, but it really helps avoid missing details. This illustration is also available as a t-shirt in my online store. I leave the link in the description if you want to check it out. Once the stencil is transferred onto the watercolor paper, I move on to adding lights and shadows with pencil. This is an important part of the process for me. It helps me plan how the illustration will look when it's full color. I use a 6B Faber-Castell pencil. It's very soft and it gives nice dark tones. You can get a lot of contrast with it, and the shading blends really well. For blending, I use a simple diffuser. For this drawing, I imagined the light coming from the right-hand side, so all the areas on that side are more illuminated. Then, gradually as we move to the left, it gets darker. This simple light setup helps a lot when building volume and making the characters pop. A quick tip: always place a clean piece of paper under your drawing hand. It's a small habit, but it saves the drawing from getting smudged. This pencil shading stage is like building the bones of the light. Later, when I start adding color, I already know where the highlights and shadows go. It saves time and gives me a clear guide. Another important tip: don't rush this step and don't go full contrast from the beginning. Work in layers. Once the pencil shading is done, I move on to the color. For this illustration, I used acrylic paint mixed with a lot of water. Just a little bit of acrylic and a quite bit of water, because I want the pencil work to show through. We already defined the values, the light and the shadows, so now the pencil becomes a guide for the painting. I started with the waves. They make up the background, so it's a good place to begin. Also, it's a safer way to warm up. If something goes wrong, it's not as noticeable. I used a turquoise blue for the waves. It creates a nice contrast with the warmer colors of the main figures. After that, I started painting the octopus. I picked lime green and purple. Not the usual octopus colors, but I wanted something more playful and different. It fits the cartoon style of the piece. For the Heike crab, I used orange. Since he's the main subject, I wanted him to stand out clearly. Once the base colors were in, I started adjusting the contrast again. Painting over pencil usually makes things look flatter, so I darkened the shadows and pushed the lights to bring back the depth. For the shadows in the waves, I used a dark blue, but not just the turquoise with black. I mixed a different hue, so the result is more varied and less boring. I did the same with the octopus, using darker green, but from a different base color. And for the Heike, I used a deep purple for the shadows. That works really well with orange. It adds drama without being too heavy. For the highlights, I used a light yellow on both the crab and the octopus. It brings warmth and makes the color pop. And for the waves, I used white. Since turquoise is already quite light, white on top gives it a nice glow. I released a tattoo coloring book that is free to download on Gumroad. It's inspired by Japanese tattoo art, mythology and a touch of cyberpunk. In A4 format, easy to print at home. If you like it, you can support my work by subscribing to the channel or leaving a small donation. Not required, but always appreciated. And if you want to see how I film these videos on a low budget, check out the next one. I talk about my affordable YouTube gear and how I record my art videos without spending too much. My name is Daniel Columna, and I will see you very soon. Adiós.